Howdy YouTube, this is James. I'm going to forego being called Jim or Mighty Viking Jim or Jim the Viking or iStash or any of the dozens of other names I've managed to accrue on the internet over the past too many years. Just going to go with James because I'm lame like that, I suppose. Anyway, this is take 15, day 2, or no, excuse me, day 3, of my attempt at making a how to pack a pipe video, like the basics of pipe smoking for everybody who is wanting to start smoking a pipe. So the first 6 takes were ruined by technical difficulties. The next 7 takes were ruined by exterior sound. The last take was beautiful, perfect, went no problem at all. And then somebody called, and that call caused interference, which I didn't realize. The phone was on silent, and the interference, that destroyed the audio for the entire video. So let's hope nothing like that happens on this one. Anyway, let's get started, shall we? To borrow from one of my favorite YouTubers' videos she sent me a while back. Let's get started, shall we? Okay. First things first. You've got to learn how to speak English if you're going to be speaking English. First things first is you're going to need some equipment. You're going to need some very basic gear. What I've got for this gear, this gear could be different for all of you, but this is the general idea. My gear is, you're going to need first a pipe. Ceci une pipe. This is my Brigham Voyageur. Yeah, my Voyageur 1 dot. And they call it a 1 dot because it's got 1 dot on the stem. There are many different types of markings that go on pipe stems. The more dots, the fancier the pipe, generally speaking. I like the Voyageur because, well, for one, it's nice, hard-wearing. It's a beautiful pipe, nicely rusticated. It's Italian-made for a Canadian company. Good stuff. Clenches beautifully. So, pipe, first thing you will need. Second thing you will need, tobacco. In this case, a tin of Sam Gawith Squadron Leader. Okay, can we get that? Yeah, we got that. Good, good, good. This is probably my favorite tobacco, my favorite easily accessible tobacco. And by easily accessible, I mean you can order it and find it fairly frequently and easily on the internets. Frogmorton, also very good, but if you really want a good sort of intro smoke, or really everyday smoke, all-day smoke, Sam Gawith Squadron Leader, that's where it's at. Next, you will need fire. In this case, a Zippo pipe lighter. You could use whatever. A lot of people prefer matches. If I had matches, I would use them. But, well, I don't have matches here with me, so I'm not using them. Back home, I tend to use Strike Anywheres. So, the fourth piece of equipment, mostly mandatory equipment at this point, pipe cleaners. This is a 100 count package of BJ Long tapered pipe cleaners. Some people like tapered pipe cleaners. I am actually not a big fan. Why do I have a 100 count bag of them then? Because it's all my tobacconist had when I stocked up before I left Canada for China. I like straight pipe cleaners. They tend to not get caught in pipe stems very easily. Tapered ones will eventually get stuck, I find. And then your final piece. This is entirely optional, but I go with this. This is a Czech tool, right? As in the Czech Republic, which is where it is traditionally made. And it's stamped here, made in Czech Republic. Yeah, I don't know if you can get that. No, not really. Yeah, you can see the etchings, but anyway, they also call it sometimes a 3-in-1 tool or a tamper or a combo tamper. I've heard people call it for. Anyway, it's got 3 pieces of equipment on it. It has got a scoop, which is useful for scooping out your ash at the end of a smoke. It's got a pick or aerator, which is good for when you are looking to do a relight after stopping your smoke session for a while. You know, you need to poke a hole near the tobacco chamber's air hole so you can get a good draw again. Or if you pack too tightly initially, if you pack too tightly, you can just poke some holes into the tobacco to loosen it up. And finally, your tamper. This is, I figure, the most important part of the pipe tool, because unless you're a badass hardcore person, you are not going to be using your thumb to poke down the burning ember. So that being said, let's move on to packing pipes. Oh, one thing before I go on. Pipe lighter. What makes this different from your regular Zippo? Well, here is my old reliable Zippo, right? You know, it looks like a Zippo, right? Vented side, hole up top. Eventually, if you spark it enough times, there you go, you've got some fire. I need to trim the wick on that, right? Zippo is as Zippo does. Pipe lighter, on the other hand, holes in the side, vented top. What does that do? Well, fire goes up. And that makes lighting your pipe a lot easier. I'll demonstrate that for you because, frankly, I need to have a smoke if I'm going to do this and if it doesn't get screwed up. All right, on to the packing of the tobacco. All right, so here we have my squadron leader. This is a bulk squadron leader. I bought just shy of a half pound of it, 250 grams for those of us who use, what's the term I'm looking for? Proper measurements. Yeah, so I bought 250 grams of it a while back and threw it into old squadron leader tins and used some butcher paper to put it in, to line the tin. Keeps it nice and relatively moist. It's not a particularly wet tobacco anyway. But this is a ribbon cut tobacco. As you can see, they're ribbons of tobacco. This is your most commonly encountered type of tobacco. There's a bunch of different cuts, stuff like flakes and plugs, ropes, broken flake rather, cake, all sorts of crazy stuff. When I eventually get some more of those types in, I will definitely do a video on how to prepare each kind, because they do have little bits of difference in them. Anyway, for packing a pipe, this is the most contentious thing you will ever encounter as a pipe smoker, by the way. There are hundreds of different methods. You can do the 3-pinch father, mother, child method, which is okay, that's fine. You can do the 2-pinch pinch and twist, which is kind of what I prefer. You just grab a big old wad of tobacco, put it in, give it a twist, push it down with your fingers, and then repeat a second time. Give it a twist, and then just pull off any little gribbly, hairy bits. And you're going to want to not necessarily go all the way up to the top, but you're definitely going to want to have some space, because the tobacco will expand when you light it. Another way of packing, this one actually I think is pretty neat. And by the way, I'm going to use the pipe tool, the scoop, to scoop out the extra tobacco here. This one I actually think is pretty cool. It's a neat method. It's the rolling method. Not rolling like you'd roll your own smokes or anything like that. What you do, take your left hand, right? Or your right hand if you're a lefty, but take your non-dominant hand. Put a load of tobacco into it. Take your pipe in your dominant hand. Put the bowl over top and twist and move it around. Just keep on twisting, keep on moving back and forth, and eventually all your tobacco, or most of it, will wind up in the bowl. And then you can just press it down. You got yourself a nice light pack. Now, what happens if you pack too tight? Well, I'll show you. I'm going to pack this super tight. I'm going to tamp this down. Going to put in another big pinch or two. Tap that down again with my thumb this time. And another big pinch. So we've got that compacted pretty good in here. I don't know if you can tell, but it's pretty dense. Yeah, it's pretty dense in there. And I do not get a lot of air through it. When you pack your pipe, you want to have a nice light draw. You don't want to be drawing too heavily on it to get air. You want to get kind of like drinking from a straw, drinking a pop from a straw. You don't want to be drinking a milkshake or anything like that from a straw. You want to be drinking pop or water from a straw. That's basically the best way I can describe it. So with this tight draw, I take my pick, my aerator, and just start poking some holes into the tobacco. It will pull some out, and that's perfectly fine. That's what we want to do, because we want to loosen things up. It's still kind of tight. So if you poke, 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 there you go. And give it, sometimes you're going to have to move the tobacco around. That's perfectly fine. You just want to make sure that you've got a nice draw. And now we're going to get to lighting. All right, we're on the home stretch. So far, so good. Let's get this thing lit. So you've got your pipe packed nice and lightly, not too heavy pack. Good light draw. Oh, it was backwards, so I didn't do that right. There we go. So you got your lighter. Light it like such. And just move the flame around your tobacco a few times. You are going to you're gonna want to char the tobacco. You're not gonna want to light it on the first go. Like I said, the first light is not the lighting light. Like, it's not like lighting a cigarette. You want to char the tobacco, get a nice, good, even bit of burnt stuff up top. Tamp it down. Take your lighter again. And there you go. That second light is the main burning light. Now, that's the stuff. Now, when you do smoke your pipe, you may find yourself having to relight 2, 3, 10, 15 times during your smoke. That's fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with relighting. In fact, I mean, depending on what I'm smoking, what type of tobacco I'm smoking, what type of cut it is, what pipe I'm smoking from, I may have to relight 5, 10 times myself whenever I smoke. So it's not a bad thing to do. Yeah, just when you relight, light it just as normal. Bring that flame to the tobacco and breathe or pull the tobacco. By tobacco, I mean the smoke. Pull the smoke into your mouth, hold it there, let it out, just like you're puffing normally. For example, I'm going to have to relight right now. Now, if you go to pipe smoking forums, I really, by the way, highly recommend you swing on by here on Reddit. If you're on Reddit, you should totally check out this subreddit. If not, swing on by reddit.com/r/pipe tobacco. Yes, that's what it is right there, pipe tobacco. Swing on by there. Lots of really good people, really knowledgeable folk. They're really friendly for the most part. I mean, it's the internet. You're gonna have some jerks, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. I'm sure they exist though. But yeah, swing on by Pipe Tobacco, chat with us if you want to. We're not terrible people. If you want advice from somebody else who's not me, there's plenty of folk on Pipe Tobacco who are more than happy to give you advice. There's also plenty of folk on Pipe Tobacco who are doing their own pipe videos. There's a couple over here. Right? We got put their guy there and here and all over the place. Anyway, yeah, swing on by. They're friendly folk. Really knowledgeable. Good place to get started. Lots of info to get started on there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Can't believe that worked. We're pretty much done here. All right, everybody. Thanks very much for your time. Again, if you have any questions, comments, you want a particular tobacco reviewed, anything like that, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to do it. Next up should be my Squadron Leader review. All right. Happy piping, everybody.